And 4 Manchester United goals, 3 points into the top 4. How do you feel about that?
I feel good. 3 points at home. I think we play well. We suffered in the end. A little bit our fault in the way we suffered the first goal. You can sense that in that time of the game we are near the 4th goal, not to suffer one. But they did everything. They run, they play with the ball, they kick the ball when it was needed. So it was a good game.
When you were 3-0 up, Brighton got it back to 3-2. What was going on in your mind at that point?
It's something that happened in football. You have the game is under control, and then you suffer a goal, and then we suffer a little bit. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of quality with the ball, and they control that, and they use that momentum to control the game. But we are improving in the way we respond to bad moments, and today was we did it again.
Was there a moment in particular during that game that you really enjoyed?
I think after the 3rd goal, the noise of the stadium was not normal. It was like a different moment. I was the first time that I felt that sound, that environment. So it was a very good moment for me. So, of course, we are focused in the game, but there are some things in this club, in this stadium, that you feel, and that was really strange.
I know that you were looking for more consistency in terms of results as well, which Manchester United haven't had recently. Does it feel like you're kind of breaking that mould now?
You feel better. Even when we arrived to play this game, I felt that the environment with everything, everybody here, the players, was different. Was not like overwhelmed. Was excitement to come here to play in front of our fans, and that was a different feeling. But again, now is to enjoy today, but tomorrow we need to prepare the other one. Because if you look at the table, 2 weeks can change everything, 1 week can change everything, and it's so hard to get good feelings in this moment in our club, so we need to have that fear of returning. So for that we just need to enjoy the week, but work really hard to prepare the next one.
Just on that then, do you feel like there's a new confidence in this Manchester United team after those last 3 performances that you've had?
It's, if you ask any manager, if you feel any stadium, when you are winning games, you feel more confident. And then when you feel more confident, some things are going in your way. You have a little bit luck, like we had last week. Today we finished the game with a goal that gave us a different feeling. So when you have the right spirit, everything is going in your favor. We need to hold that, to work really hard, and to take that to the next game.
Just on the goal scorers as well, 4 goals today. How pleased were you that you were able to get, such good attacking threat today?
They have a lot of talent, but I really like the way they defend, especially the 3 in front. I think Cunha did a great job defending, and was completely different from the first games. Brian is a working machine. Ben, every time we kick the ball, Ben was there. And that is the details. We can have all the talent in the world, but if we don't fight in this league, you have no chance. So if we fight, our players, they have the talent to decide the games.
Thank you very much for your time. Well done today. Thank you. Nice to see you.
2 goals for Manchester United, and here's Gary Neville waiting to speak. Did you score 2 goals in a game, Gary, for Manchester United?
No, I scored 2 goals in consecutive weeks, or 1 and 1, which, does that count?
I'll give you that.
From right back, you'll take that, Gary.
Especially on the day you've been inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame as well. Does he look like a Manchester United player already, Mbeumo?
Yeah, I think Mbeumo and Cunha, I think the risk was removed from those signings in the sense that they've been in the Premier League before and they've got that hunger to deliver at a different level. There was a lot of things about those signings that you felt more comfortable with, and I think that when I look at United now with Mbeumo, I think Mbeumo looks like he belongs, he looks hungry, he looks like he wants to score goals. It wasn't quite happening for him and Cunha in the first maybe 4 or 5 matches when they were getting into the positions, they always wanted the ball, but they weren't maybe taking their chances. But I think Manchester United have got something to build on. If those 2 can stay up front and live up front in those spaces, and the other 8 or 9 players in the team can just be the foundation for them and sort of keep more clean sheets and defend well, those 2 will win a lot of football matches for this club.
Of course, the new ground that we're treading here under Ruben Amorim. Does this feel particularly significant, Gary? 3 on the bounce?
I think it does. I think that it feels like his best week in the job. The week where I think that, look, where he's been, and I think where we've all been with it, I wouldn't have been surprised. We were talking about him losing his job, and I was thinking he was under massive pressure after going into the international break in October. I felt as though that change could be imminent, but the victory at Anfield, and it shows you how things can turn around. And then obviously this was so important today. Look, he's not out of the woods yet, and it's certainly not a time to get carried away. But I think Manchester United are now where they thought they probably would be. They'll slip down a couple of places after the rest of the teams play, and they'll end up in 6th or 7th. But that's where I think everyone thought they would be. So, look, this has been a very important week for the manager and for the club. And you could see the celebration at the end there was more than just a little bit, I think, of relief that, yeah, we needed this badly.
Gary, Jamie, one of the big things that struck me in these performances, these last 3 games, certainly has been almost how much heart, desire that they've shown. And it looks like a team that the fans can now almost get behind as well.
Yeah, one thing, Jamie, is I think that a few weeks ago I was a little bit worried that the players didn't believe in Ruben Amorim's system, that maybe there was an element of them not winning matches and starting to question it and listen to the noise that all of us, including myself, had added to that. However, one thing that's been absolutely not in doubt when you speak to people in and around the club is that the players really like him as a person, and that does count for a lot. Because I think there's no doubt he's not lost the dressing room in terms of spirit and energy and how they feel towards him. So I think they want to play for him. They're desperate to win, and I think you've seen that coming together a little bit in the last week. I mean, winning at Anfield in any season is special, but for Ruben Amorim to win at Anfield when it was so unexpected, I think just has given them such a big lift. But look, we'll look forward to the game next week against Nottingham Forest, Tottenham away the week after. There's still a big job to do in this month, but I felt as though it was a month of reckoning. And if it had started badly last week at Liverpool, it could have gone a different way, but it feels very different. It feels like the momentum's with them a little bit and the spirit's good.
So what questions do you still have, Gary?
I suppose consistency. It's been a team and a club that you can't really rely on for so long. So the idea of winning 2 or 3 matches doesn't take that away. You can't sort of build that trust back in an instant. So that's still not there. But I think that there's something happening there that, I think the front 2, I've just mentioned them. You've got something if you can keep that back 5 compact, and amongst them there's some decent defenders, half-decent defenders. That back 5 can just stay solid, and the midfield in front, let them 2 up front go and do what they do. I think it can be sort of a recipe for Manchester United to have a decent season and to get into the top 6. There's question marks against Sesko. I think that he obviously was a bigger risk of a signing and a lot more of an unknown. He doesn't quite look like he's settled in yet. So it'd be nice, I think, if he can start to look. It starts to look like a front 3. It does feel still like a front 2 with him stood up there. I think that's the big job over the next couple of weeks.
Is that just a question of goals with him, with Sesko, Gary, do you think? Is that all he needs, or is it more the build-up play, the way he sort of he plays with those other 2?
No, it's more than the goals. It's the inclusion within the actual combinations that you see from the others. I mean, you see Bruno Fernandes and Mount, who wasn't playing today, but you see those 2 linking very successfully with Mbeumo and Cunha. You don't quite see Sesko being part of that mix yet. He's not sort of got up to speed and the pace of it, of how quickly they're playing with each other. So he needs to get his game up to speed. That'll only come through time, and obviously he's still quite young. But he just does need to get there because, it's a big signing still. It's 80 million. If they can become a front 3, then obviously that will be a huge step. At the moment, it feels to me like a 2 with another guy stood up there occupying space.
All right, Gary, we'll let you go. Thank you very much for your efforts this evening. It is something, family euphoria around Old Trafford as well. 4-2, they beat Brighton. Brighton edged the shot count, 17-13, but United 9-5 on target, and they were slightly in front on expected goals, touches in the opposition box. But look at those bottom 2 lines there. With 43% possession, they fashioned 4 big chances to Brighton's 1. Maybe that is a clue as to what Ruben Amorim's football looks like at his effective best.
Yeah, and they started the game well.
They started the game well, Izzy, so let's get into the goals then. Starting with Cunha, and we said that he needed a goal to settle himself, didn't he, as a Manchester United forward. This is his first, he's off the mark. How did it happen?
Yeah, well, they started the game really well on the front foot. We've seen the way that Manchester United have used the likes of Ahmad and Mbeumo, who I think have developed a nice relationship in recent weeks, thinking forward. And this goal just comes from Manchester United's ability to keep the attack alive, and I think they've got Brighton into a position where they've suffocated them in attack. And what I love about this picture is the fact that here, as the ball comes in, they've got numbers around the ball. Casemiro's front foot ready. Bruno Fernandes front foot ready. Everyone's active. Šeško takes his touch forward, which again puts Brighton on the back foot. He attempts a little dink pass in here. Doesn't come off. But then if you just look at the position, if I just rewind it back a little bit, of the two midfielders. Now, I think this is where Manchester United have improved a lot this season under Amorim, because these two players, we've spoken about them being really deep, you know, not up and supporting the attack. Maybe one of them at times, but both of them here. And they can be really active because of the centre-back positions here. De Ligt is there to cover and support. This is Yoro high and Luke Shaw somewhere around here at the back. So it keeps them alive. Bruno Fernandes, we spoke last week about the fact that his first time ball back into the box got Harry Maguire the winner at Anfield. And I think he's had a part to play in this here. As it develops, it's so intelligent. First time pass square to his midfield partner, Casemiro. We know the finish is absolutely exquisite. But the way in which Casemiro just has a little look here, scans, plays it, Ruta can't get back in. And then Cunha, what a way to open your account for Manchester United. First touch, absolutely delightful. And the finish, the way he shapes it around Van Hecke into the bottom corner, absolutely superb.
I suppose there would be some players who, when they haven't scored yet, might not take on an opportunity like that.
Not him. I was never worried about that. You asked me the question before the game, will he be a bit nervous as he hasn't scored yet? It was only a matter of time, because Neville, there's not been a second when I've watched him in a Man United shirt where he's looked uncomfortable or not done something positive, proactive, tried to be a leader in the team. He just feels right with that number 10 shirt. I know we've always seen so many great Brazilians with that number 10 shirt. He looks so at home, and he has done from minute one. I never expected anything different, to be honest. When he was at Wolves, he was a leader. Yeah, he's got that little fiery nature, but I think that's what also makes him such an exciting prospect. And all the fans, you can see the adulation there, that they adore him, and Brian and Burmo, and they've been excellent. And that goal, and I thought was perfectly described by Izzy, was a brilliant finish.
Second goal, does this come from the sort of the modern conundrum of how to get up the pitch? If you don't want to go route one, you've got to try and play through. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just think when I did it at half-time, I think Ruta just has to do a lot better. Again, there's your midfield players. You've got Bruno Fernandes is going to press. He's getting really high up the pitch. You've got Ahmad, who's one of your wing-backs there. He's coming in. And there's Cunha, that's Šeško there, isn't it?
It's Cunha high. He's gone up, committed to the press. I don't know where Šeško is.
So now they're going to play. They managed to get the ball out to Van Hecke. I think what Brighton do really poorly is this. You can see that Ruta, number 10, is coming to the ball. He has to be aware what's behind him. Luke Shaw is coming in at a real pace, which is something that we haven't seen enough. When you want this system, you can jump and you can be aggressive because you demanded it, because there's one of your midfield players there, and he makes a really good effort there to go and press him. Ruta doesn't see him coming behind, nick the ball off him. Now you've got the space. You've got your midfielders high at the pitch. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time. He gets a load of fortune with the finish because it takes a huge deflection, but they actually earn it. And this is what I want to talk about here, because good players I always talk about scanning, understanding what's behind you. Ruta has got no idea that he's getting pressed, and that's brilliant from Luke Shaw. The ball isn't bad because this is what the game is now. This is how we play. This is what you're receiving it in tight areas. But he has to be aware. He either has to go with a little bit of pace, or if he's not sure, just turn it round the corner. He doesn't do either, and they obviously get caught. And then once it falls here, Baliba, who was really poor today, and Ayari never got close in midfield enough. They don't really do anything to stop the shot either. And as I said before, he deserves this, Casemiro. He's took so much stick, but that'll feel really good, that one.
So that was the system working, is he?
Yeah, and I think that if I just rewind it back a little bit, there's something to look into in terms of the way that they've pressed. Jamie's just described it. As we go all the way back, can we keep going?
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's just get into that position here. Oops, we're going to have to go back, aren't we? There we go. I think, as Jamie's just alluded to the press there, Cunha jumps onto the keeper. This means that Fernandes has to engage. And he, again, is one of the two midfielders. The two sitting midfielders that's gone high into the press. And I think Bruno Fernandes is super clever here, because as the play develops and goes out to the right-sided centre-back here, Fernandes doesn't go hard. He hesitates a little bit because he knows that they've got a pressing trap in here. Because they've got three centre-backs on the pitch, Luke Shaw can go and engage. Like Jamie said, Casemiro is a spare player here. Brighton want to play this pass here. They then want to look for the support movement underneath in Baliba. But because Luke Shaw wins it on the first attempt, they don't have a chance to play out the press. So as the play develops here, Fernandes allows that pass because he knows, and this is the team in sync, this is the team knowing what their jobs are and executing it. And like Jimmy said, it's lucky it deflects into the back of the net, wrong foot's the keeper. But I think this picture here, if you just let it play, it's absolutely fantastic. He jumps, he doesn't foul. How important is it in that position for Luke Shaw not to foul? You win it high, and this is what you get, your rewards from pressing high. And it's the team in sync, it looks good.
Yeah, and if they continue like that, but it comes with work rate, doesn't it, as well, Jamie, and effort?
Yeah, it does. And that's the one thing, when I look at this United team, so much football is done on data now and how you sort of analyse. But the one bit of data that's really hard to find is heart and desire and fight. And when I looked at this United team tonight, I think Gary Neville said it about a year ago, they've not been a likeable team. They've turned up in their thousands to watch their team and support them, but have they really liked the way they play? Have they enjoyed it? But when I see Mbeumo and I see players like that, Cunha, running, fighting to win every single ball, it makes them a bit more likeable. And I don't want to talk about players, I've said it before, players that have now left the club, they didn't fight, they didn't care enough about wearing that Manchester United shirt, and they're incredibly lucky to be doing so. But with those players, you can see that they might start to like them a bit more, they might start to enjoy it. And all of a sudden, if everything starts to come together, and then you get the fans and the force of them and the players starting to play at a higher level, Manchester United will be a force again. It's inevitable. They're trying to get best in class. They've got Barada, they've got Jason Wilcox, they've just got Stephen Torpey, who's gone into the academy, who's one of the best in the business. They are trying to get best in class, and I've got no doubt it will only be a matter of time before the results start to improve, the fans start to engage, and they won't just be going there because they're supporting Man United. They'll be going there because they're enjoying their team.
Let's have a look at the third goal, scored by Brighton and Mbeumo. Got two on the night. In fact, in Cunha and Mbeumo, they got two of the top three last season of players who outperformed their XG. And I think there is some thought that maybe that was behind some of their recruitment. It was more in data, so you're getting people who will score chances, in theory, when they come.
Yeah, and there's the goal scorer there, and I talk about hard work, and he epitomises it because he's always running. He doesn't stop. Bruno Fernandes as well. Players running without the ball. It's enjoying it. They're loving their football at the moment. And results like the one at Manchester last week against Liverpool make a real difference. Lovely little bit of play by Cunha. Obviously, they lose it there. But look at Brian Mbeumo's first point of call. He's thinking, right, they obviously get lucky here. This could have been a foul. Could have, should have. But then Gary mentioned something about Sesko, which he felt he needs to link up better. I actually love this bit of play. This is brilliant forward play. Make no mistake, this is class. It comes into him. He plays a little bit of a Cruyff turn, loses Van Hecke, then obviously get a great bit of movement from Brian Mbeumo. And this is what you want to see from him. Boom, lovely play. Great play there, nice first touch, and he hits that so early. A lot of centre-forwards have that knack. They don't give the goalkeeper a chance to get set. Should that have been a foul? Yeah, I would probably say, and I'm sure Hertzler will be talking about that. But great touch, really good bit of movement from Brian Mbeumo. Hits that between the players' legs. That reminds me of one of the greatest Premier League players ever, good mate of mine, Robbie Fowler.
I know you were going to say that.
Because that's what he used to do. He used to hit the ball so early, no backlifting. The amount of times he put it through someone's leg, you know.
I think what the VAR was saying when they had another look at it wasn't enough contact to see him go down in that moment.
It's aggressive from Luke Shaw, and he has to be because we've just spoken about
when it works.
One of the
he wins the ball high up the pitch.
One of the centre backs has to go in, and I do think they get a little bit lucky here, Manchester United. But you don't achieve these moments without doing this, and I think there's been times where we've been speaking about Manchester United not doing these things, you know, not being aggressive, not being front-footed, and now they do it, and they get a little bit of luck again. But that's what they've created, and I'm a big believer in you do create your own luck, and sometimes you have to go through the hard parts first. But I think just going back to that Šeško assist, I completely agree with what you said, Jamie, and I think that you'd expect Šeško to be on the end of that pass from Mbeumo, but now you've got a goal threat in Cunha and Mbeumo, either side of Šeško or Mount, whoever plays. So whoever it is feeding each other, it doesn't matter as long as you end up with an end product, and that's what he's done.
And whether that's a foul or not, it obviously doesn't give it. Luke Shaw going to press twice, if real aggression gets you 2 goals. And that's the difference, because we haven't always associated him with that, and he's looking very accomplished in that role as well.
Brighton were disappointed with that. We can bring you some reaction now. Fabian Hertzler is with Pien Mullenstein.
There's lots going on in that game, but what are your overall feelings after that performance and result today?
Disappointed, because I think we gave too many easy balls away. We conceded the goals too easy. So overall, like this, when you do too many mistakes, you can't win the football game.
Why did Manchester United make it difficult to play against them today?
I would say that it was difficult. I think was we had a good plan, it's just the technical execution, the spaces were there, the idea, I think, was the right one, but it's about like having the right individual positioning. It's about playing the ball on the right foot, having the right positioning towards the opponent, finding the free teammate with the right man, and that's what something we lack today. So we are responsible for that defeat, and we have to be honest to ourselves and have to make it better.
3-0 down, but then it got to 3-2. So what was going on for you at that moment?
I think it's always important to show personality, to show character, to never give up, and that's what we have in our team, and that's a very positive thing. So I think my team, they always had the belief that there was something possible, and I also have the belief on the sideline, because like I said, we were in the game, we were there, we created chances. It was just about the technical execution.
There was a couple of moments in that game. There was one of them where perhaps, I don't know what you thought about the Patrick Dorgu foul. He got the yellow card for it. Did you feel that he should have got a red card?
No, they explained me the rule, so we have to accept the rule, and I think that was not the reason why we lost.
When you look back as well, of course, you came into this game 4 games unbeaten, now the defeat. In terms of getting that consistency, staying up in sort of the top 10 of the Premier League, is that still something that you're sort of looking to keep continuing on?
No, I focus on performance, and I think that's the main thing. We have to bring like consistency in our performance, and then the results will come. We always talk about like results, expectations. That's not the way from our side. It's not the way from this club. For us, it's really about like focusing on performance, and then long term the results will come, and there we just have to get better.
Fabian, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
Clear up the incident that led to the Brighton's what felt like their route back into the game at 3-1, which came from that Danny Welbeck free kick. It was a yellow card. The question was asked to Fabian Hertz whether he thought it was a red, and he said the rule had been explained to him, and what we understand is, as this move develops, Tommy Watson plays his delightful ball through for the paciest player on the pitch. Is that he'd lost control of the ball, so it was pretty much in the goalkeeper's hands, in Loman's hands, by the time the foul had been made. So it was a yellow only. Are you happy with that, Jamie?
Yeah, and so is the manager. I think that's fair enough. You look at it, because at the time I thought, well, if you're going to give a foul, you're denying a goal-scoring opportunity. Should that not be a red card? And I think that was what Hertz's first thoughts were. But then once he gets it described,
you're saying foul there.
That's a foul, but he's lost the ball, so they're just saying that it probably obviously affects his movement, but it wasn't really, one. The foul was probably the right decision. You see, he clips him just there, and then he obviously trips himself up. But it was definitely a foul by Dorgu, but not denying a goal-scoring opportunity because the goalkeeper had it in his hands. But then, obviously, what happens is then this chaos ensues, because that's an amazing free kick by Danny Welbeck. All of a sudden, you're back in the game.
Yeah, it's a super finish. Good striker. I mean, it doesn't
his
go
second
in
direct free kick goal. And who knew he had this in his locker until recently?
He's a man in form. We spoke before the game about, he's a striker that can do everything, and he's just proved that again. And it felt at this point like there was a sniff around Brighton.
And what's ahead of this is he? From an 18-year-old, OK, it's cost a lot of money, £31 million. But what a way to announce yourself to the Premier League.
Well, it's super simple in terms of his movement. Drifts away into the 6-yard space here, just checks in front of Xerxes, and then it's a really direct, powerful header. The timing of the movement is exceptional, and that just gave his team a chance to think, hang on a minute, we're back in it.
Amazing, great header. He's obviously a very talented young player, but I think the manager will look at that this week and think that the way we defended there was like we're 5-0 up. Like, they are back in the game there. And it was obviously a really important goal that Brian Mbeumo scored, because that could have anything could have happened from there, and that was really poor from a corner from that perspective.
So the game was on a knife edge.
It really was.
But
do you know what, though? It didn't really stop United and how they were playing. They still were getting players forward. You've got your midfield, 2 of your midfield players here.
Long throw-in.
Yeah, they're pushing the ball. They're still high up the pitch. Obviously, you've got your defensive midfield player there, but they work off getting the second balls, and it's a really good piece of play. Brian Mbeumo again chasing lost causes. Heaven plays a ball in behind, and then Mbeumo gets onto it, and he said smashes that into the top corner. But this is so clever. He won't get the assist, but he absolutely should, because this is a brilliant piece of play by this man here. Oh, that's quite a nice stop. There he is. There's the captain. He has got a great awareness now. And
you talked about scanning earlier, Jamie.
I'm talking about scanning. I'm talking about checking your shoulder. You've almost got to have your head on a swivel at all times. You've got to play with wing mirrors. You've got to know every part of it, especially the way that you get pressed now and players are jumping all the time. He's saying to his mate, if this ball gets played into me, you come and make this run across me. And I can tell you what, you might get in a bit of luck. And he won't get the assist, as I say, because Aiden Heaven will get it. But this is brilliant.
He's seen two things there, isn't he, Bruno Fernandes? Because he's looking at where Mbeumo is. But that connection between those two is starting to blossom.
Yeah.
Because I think Fernandes is also looking here as well, because he's checking for the pressure that you spoke about on the Luke Shaw interception for one of the goals in the first half.
Absolutely. And then when the ball gets played, he knows I'm just going to leave it alone. My centre forward is going to get onto it. And it wraps that into the top corner. What a finish. 4-2, game over. And they needed it, because you never know. It only takes a second to score a goal, and they were just starting to get a little bit of pressure. But as I said before, it would have been a travesty if they'd not won today, because I thought they were fabulous, and especially this guy there in our picture.
Great shots, great shots. And is this, as Gary was saying, the evidence that these relationships are starting to blossom between the quality players in Manchester United's team?
I think so. And, you know, the man that we've spoken about in recent seasons as Manchester United's go-to maverick is Bruno Fernandes. And he's had a big part to play in some of those goals today. But I think it's really nice for him to now have, you know, sort of the responsibility shared with the likes of Mbeumo and Cunha. Cunha, when he came from Wolves, a lot of the time in a Wolves shirt, he'd take the game by the scruff of the neck, and he'd be the one to get Wolves back into a game, to score a goal, to make an assist. And I think Bruno Fernandes has carried that weight on his shoulders in a United shirt for a long time now. Yeah. And I think now he's been given the freedom to keep doing his little moments of magic, like Jamie's just spoke about there with that delicious non-assist, but it was an assist in essence. And the way that the shared responsibility now, he can sort of relieve the pressure a little bit and do his magic.
3 wins